Hi, friends. When you imagine a pianist at the instrument, what picture usually comes to your mind? For many, it's not an expressive artist, but someone tense, shoulders raised, fingers like little spiders flying through the keys. And here lies the paradox. Music supposed to be freedom and expression. Yet the path to that freedom is often paths with tension, pain, and rules no one truly explains. Most pianists believe that solid sound and technique begins with fingers. But what if I told you that almost everything, your tone, your speed, your control, even the comfort of your hands and back, depends on one foundational element that is almost overlooked. Pianists face the unique challenge. We are far away from our instrument. What do I mean by that? A singer carries their instrument inside the body. String players embrace the source of the sound directly. But for us, the mechanism is long and complex. The back, the shoulders, the arms, the wrists, the fingers, the legs on the pedals, all this must align before we even touch the key. Only then does the hammer travel towards the string. This distance, this long chain, has a real consequence. Because if even one element of this architecture falls out of balance, everything collapses. That's why so many players experience the same story. The more I practice, the more it hurts, and nothing improves. But if we rebuild the foundation, the posture, the support, the organization of movement, we suddenly discover that many eternal technical problems were never about the fingers at all. They were about the body architecture. So posture at the piano is not about simply sitting up straight. It is the base of your entire pianistic system, the platform that allows color, phrasing, control, and freedom exist at all, or the opposite, prevents them from existing. And today we are going to rebuild this whole entire architecture together, from the bench all the way to our fingertips. We will talk about how to establish stable support, how to guide the movement through the body, how the torso shapes your sound, and why the correct organization don't just make the playing more beautiful, it makes it effortless. And at the very end, we will also look at the pianists who sit in completely unconventional ways, like, for example, Glenn Gould and other great artists, and discover why their exceptions actually confirm the basic principles and what from their approach can truly be useful for you. But before we start, if you want to discover how to play with a true freedom and ease, please subscribe to this channel. And if you're ready to transform your technique today, go ahead and hit this like button. This is the way to say thank you for the knowledge I am sharing with you. Strangely enough, we don't begin with the fingers or with the hands or even with the legs, but with the most unromantic detail, the bench. The key rule is simple. When your hand rests on the keyboard, the forearm should be almost parallel to the floor. It can be slightly more. So this angle should form 90 degrees. Like in my case, for example, I allow this angle to be a bit more opened, and the elbow should roll level with the white keys. And this isn't about looking proper or pleasing a teacher. It's posture biomechanics. The body automatically compensates to the wrong height. Everything we cover today is universal, but every pianist's body is unique. If you feel that you've tried everything but still struggle with tension or technical blocks, I would love to help you personally. I offer one-on-one consultations where we can analyze your specific setup and solve these issues step by step together. If you're ready to work together, you can find the link to book a session in the description box below. If the bench is too high, so you see, there is no angle. The elbow is up. The shoulders immediately start to creep upward just to reach the keyboard. So I do it automatically, actually, this movement. So as a result, chronic tension appears in the neck, traps, and upper back. Even simple passages start to feel like hard physical labor. I don't have such a seat here in the class, but if the bench is too low, let's imagine that I'm sitting, the arm has to jump over every time it presses the key. You see? The wrist automatically raises above the knuckles. The hand collapses and the sound automatically becomes wooden. Oh my God. If the height is correct, the hand settles onto the keyboard naturally, without struggle. The body no longer wastes energy to reach the keyboard, and that energy can finally flow into the sound. So the height of the bridge is only the first brick. The second is how far you sit from the instrument and what your legs are doing. If you sit too close, the elbow slips behind the torso. The shoulders compress, movements become short and restricted. And any wide passage turns into a struggle. I can't really play like that, no. If you sit too far, the sense of grounding disappears. And instead of sinking into the keys, you start striking them from above. For me, the ideal distance to this particular instrument would be measured like that. I sit straight, my arms are straight, and I can touch it with my first knuckle. A pianist doesn't sit on the bench alone. They sit on 3 points of support: the 2 feet and seat bones. The heels rest firmly on the floor and never together, but a bit apart, to have a more stable position. If I would have to move side to side, I can even fall down. So you have to sit legs apart and feel the ground with your heels, while the front of the feet stays free for pedaling. So if we don't have the support with our legs and seat bones, our arms and shoulders begin to search the support somewhere it should never come from. So I will try to play like that now. So I automatically raise my shoulders. Actually, no, it's not possible to sit up straight without the support of the legs. Try it. It's so funny. So to summarize, without leg support, the body always is out of balance. With the strong support of our legs, shoulders and arms can finally be free. I am kind of skinny person, so to reach the fuller sound, sometimes on the concerts, I stand up a little. So I use this chain from my heel to my seat bones and to the keyboard. Because only the weight of my arm is not enough to reach 3/4, for example. Why the shoulders are not the real problem. Tense shoulders and tight neck, a heavy upper back. In most cases, these aren't the issue at all. They are compensation. What this means, the body is always searching for support. And if there is no stability lower in the chain, in the fingers, in the knuckles, and in the hands, the body kind of goes into this panic mode and starts to looking for support somewhere higher up. Of course, in the shoulders, in the neck, and in upper back. From this follows the advice, relax your shoulders, is almost meaningless. It fights the symptom, not the cause. Remember, the shoulders are tense because the fingers and knuckle joints are not providing the support they should. If you will only relax the upper body, you will return to the same tension within 1 minute of playing. So what to do? If you will strengthen the foundation, the knuckles, fingers, and shape of the hand, the shoulders will drop on their own and quietly disappear from the list of problems. Imagine pianist's hand like a bridge. A bridge has always two pillars to stand. The first pillar is the shoulder. The second pillar is the fingertip resting on the bottom of the key. Everything in between is the arch of the bridge. And the curve of the hand is the structure that carries the weight. The golden rule in this case is that the knuckles always be higher than the wrist, or at least on the same level, in positions where black keys appear. So like that, not like this. And of course, they shouldn't be lower than the wrist, always higher. Why is this critical? When the knuckles stay above the wrist, the weight of the arm transfers through the bones of the fingers and the natural arch of the hand. This is a strong, efficient, and anatomically correct supporting system. But when the wrist lifts above the knuckles, the weight of the arm collapses onto the soft tissues, the muscles and the tendons of the wrist, structures that never were meant to carry the weight. And of course, then it leads to huge portion of technical problems. Weak tone, uncooperative fingers, unevenness, and pain. So please keep in mind that the wrist is not a pillar. It's not a support, not a post. The wrist is a flexible cable, a suspension element. It absorbs the shock. It allows the hand to breathe and move. It must never carry the structural weight. So now to the fun part, how to train knuckles and fingertips. You can take something rounded and heavy, mango, avocado, or even like me, the bottle, and notice what happens automatically. The fingers actively hold an object. The knuckles lift, but the wrist stays free, able to move any direction. So the tactical message is clear. The fingertips and knuckles are the stability and foundation. The wrist is mobility and flexibility. This is the exactly relationship we want on the keyboard. Exercise 2, you could use to build a bit of finger strength. Bring your hands together and then fight with your fingers against each other, like so. You can do it actually everywhere. For example, driving somewhere in the subway or sitting and watching TV. The goal is to feel no tension in the wrist and that all your knuckles are rounded. So never do like that or like that. So now let's talk about the great pianists who break the rules. And after those all careful principles, we open footage of the great pianists and see Glenn Gould sitting almost on the floor, Horowitz playing with the flat fingers. It looks that they break every rule we just established. So why? Glenn Gould had an extremely low bench, folded torso, but he essentially removed the weight of the back and the weight of the upper body from playing mechanism. He was focusing only on the fingers. That's because he was not looking for a romantic orchestral sound. He wanted almost harpsichord-like clarity in Bach. His posture was kind of tool for that sonic ideal. And of course, there was also a combination of his mental problems. For example, at the end, he never performed in front of the public. So, what's with Vladimir Horowitz's flat fingers? A very low wrist, a nightmare of any children method book. He knew exactly which velvety and which singing legato he wanted, and he found a physical strategy to produce it. His fingers were very, very long. That way, the sound was even more singing for him. So, the core insight would be at their level, the posture and technique are not correct positions, but conscious artistic tools chosen for a specific sound. But, and this is very crucial, all of them first mastered a healthy foundational technique, the bridge, the supports, and the biomechanics. Only after that could they bend the rules intentionally in service of musical expression rather than by accident or compensation. By the way, I think that Glenn also had a back problems. Maybe this posture was also a kind of compensation for him. So now, let's gather everything into one clear idea. The ideal piano posture is not a frozen picture of a properly seated student. It's a dynamic state of stable freedom. Stability lives in the supports, the bench height, the feet, the knuckles, and the fingertips. Freedom lives in everything that no longer needs to compensate: the wrist, the shoulders, and the torso. Released because the foundation finally holds. And the most important message I want to tell you today: the piano playing should not hurt. Pain is not a sign of dedication, it's a red flag, a signal that somewhere in the architecture of movement, something has collapsed. So you can spend decades fighting the instrument. No matter who are you, the professional player or the amateur, repairing fingers with endless etudes and ignoring signals of your body, living with the quiet fear that technique just isn't your thing. Or you can build the foundation once, from the bench to the fingertip, and gradually move from struggle to true cooperation with your instrument. Just a quick note for the ending: we are creating a community of passionate pianists here, and we learn how to play with the joy and not tension. So make sure you are subscribed that you don't miss new videos. And if you found value on the session today, your like is a perfect way to say thank you to me. It supports the channel and keeps us going. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.